let's get into a little bit of a different topic here. I know halves pairing has been big. I know people are starting to kind of talk about that in the chat. You've done a
100%.
massive video on it, which is amazing. And guys, if you haven't already, go and check that out.
Yeah.
Is there anything that's changed your mind or any other things you've thought about in the last couple of weeks that they're giving you food for thought to who your who your halves pairing is? Anything that's I've kind of laid it out as my view has been. I'm more focused on the combination as
Yeah.
opposed to the individual ability.
Mhm.
A combination for me is more key. Yeah, you have to have obviously individual ability, but I look at the best halves in the pairings. Yes, you have individuals like Nathan Cleary, but when you add that
Mm.
Nathan Cleary with a, what's his name? I've been in the off season so long.
Not Jack Cole. You told last year, Jerome Lua.
Yeah, Jerome Loy. My apologies, guys.
Yeah.
Um,
You're right, bro.
yeah, that's like a yin and yang, and it works perfectly for them. I'm looking
Mm.
for more of that personally than an actual individual. But yeah,
Yeah.
what's your thoughts, bro? Would love to hear anything come into mind.
Yeah, obviously I won't try to take too much time because I did a big deep dive video, and every time I get asked this question, I do get into a little bit of a deep dive here overall. But I think my thoughts overall hasn't changed at all. I prefer Tannah Martin and Luke Metcalf, and I don't care what jersey you put on either one of the two, just because I feel like the balance that I've seen them play with can take either one of those roles. I've seen them preseason a couple of years ago, even recently as well. They've had a New South Wales Cup game that when you see them both play together, their balance is so incredible to where like sometimes one will take the reins for more so than not, and the other will take the other reins. And I believe that Metcalf, he wants to be the 7. He's proven in certain games that he can be a kicker. There's been a game I pointed out, he versus the Rabbitohs, fresh back off an injury. He kicked for 389 meters, a 40-20. He had big moments in that game on his kicking boot. He has the ability to do so. So I think that will be our best option. The reason why it's still up in the F, man, I'm not against anyone that says Tannah Boyd. It's just I want to see Tannah Boyd in a Warriors jersey first and see what development we can put into him to grow in all the areas that he faults at. Like for me, he faults at his passing game's definitely not as good as Tannah Martin, Luke Metcalf, and even for sometimes for me, Shino Harris-Tavita. His kicking game is definitely better than all those guys all together. I would say more so his kicking game with the bigger boot is probably better. I still think that short kicking game, Tannah Martin wins out in that area as well. His grubber kicks in behind is definitely a lot more lethal from what I've seen personally throughout the career. But the long kicking game, which is what a lot of people are talking about, Tannah Boyd definitely beats him out in those areas. But the reason why I throw back to Luke Metcalf showing ability that he can kick like that is every time I've seen that connection of Tannah Martin and Luke Metcalf. Guys, also just check it out. There was a Parramatta Eels game last year, New South Wales Cup. There's a preseason game against the Tigers. There's 2 of them. They've been connected with each other, and just see how silky our attack did. And not even look at the opposition, the names on the opposite side of the field. Just look at how those guys are directing the ruck. Look at how they're moving between each other, and they're just in sync. Like a good halves pairing, one doesn't sit the other way and just swing around. Some do, some don't. But these two are swerving either side of the ruck either way, and they were just like a pendulum. It was incredible to watch, and that's something I'm excited for. And I asked you the question before we jumped into doing all this again. It's like, what was the 2 big issues that we had last year? We could do everything in between the 20s so well. We can get to the opposition 20 like ease. We were the second best team in the competition for field yardage and getting into the opposition 20. What did we struggle with? We struggled with getting over the line. And the only time that we ever saw that we got over the line was with Tannah Martin in that number 7 jersey. So for me, I'm waiting on Tannah Boyd. I'm waiting on his development because obviously we also got to remember he was a Titans reject. I don't mean that in the harshest way possible, but the Titans finished lower than what we were last year. Forget about the wins they had against us, all that sort of stuff, right? Yeah. They still were lower in the ladder. And the year that he had the full 23 games of the season that year, they still finished bottom 4 that year. They weren't a great side, and that was with directing a team with Kieran Foran next to him. Okay?
No,
so he needs development.
Yeah.
He does need development, and I'm not hating on him. I hope he can get there because he's got potential. But that's the thing. He's got potential. That's all we see.
No, I said the same thing. Why are we putting out the red carpet for him when he's the one that's come through and he's been knocked back by his own club? You know what I mean? It'd be different if we got in, say, a Trindle or someone that's actually was the top man or even the starting halves at their club.
Yeah.
and they came over. Of course, you're going to put him in because he's proven it or he's doing it at another job. This is a
Yep.
guy that hasn't even, let's be honest, hasn't was struggling to make his own halves appearing in his club. So I'm not discrediting him, and I wish him the best. If it ends up
Yep.
being Boyd and Metcalf, bro, I'm all
I'm
happy
behind it.
for it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I think some people think, oh yeah, because he's come from Aussie, because he, guys that come from Aussie, you got to make way for them, otherwise they won't come play. I think he's come here for an opportunity. I doubt many other clubs in Australia gave him an opportunity. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying, I don't think Webby's come in and said, "Yep, we're going to make everything great for you because you're coming from Aussie and we really need you." Blah blah blah. It's like, no, you want an opportunity, sure, earn it, work for it, and if you do earn it, great. So I think sometimes we get into this trap as Warriors fans, and we have this PTSD that if someone comes from Australia, man, we've got to give them a starting job because we'll lose them if they don't hang around.
Yeah.
Whereas the reality is, mate, we're a development club. We're moving into a new role. You have to earn your stripes, no matter who you
Well,
are, barring guys at a top level, obviously. Yeah.
to add what you just said too, I think a lot of people, like when we have these discussions, right? I want people to also take into the fact of like I'm a very optimistic Warriors fan, right? But I don't think we're going to be a top 14 this year, and I don't think the halves pairing that we're going to run out there is top 4 potential. So when we're
Agree.
talking about this, we're talking about a halves pairing that's just going to try to get us to the 8 and develop. If we have an amazing year, get top 4, fuck, we're all happy. Like that's going to be amazing. But we're talking about halves here that, as you said last night, they're all fairly on a similar level. I saw really amazing things from Tannah Martin last year, but we haven't seen that from Tannah like consistently over his whole career. Like that was a really good little sample size of the Warriors, and we're hoping that can replicate themselves again. And we also got Tannah Boyd coming over, as we just touched on again, a guy that was at the Gold Coast Titans, which like we know the past couple of years have been a worse side than the New Zealand Warriors, and he wasn't good enough for that side next to a more experienced halfback of Kieran Foran. Like, so it just, I think a lot of people have got to remember when we have these discussions I'm happy with Tannah Boyd out there. I'm happy with Luke Metcalf, Shino Harris-Tavita, Tamato Martin. But when I have these arguments of Tannah Boyd and stuff, it's like people are going, but he's not going to take us to a premiership. It's like, we're not in the premiership business right now. Last year was a hope, right? We all hoped. I saw the premiership last year. I was like, maybe that's our opportunity. But now that Sean Johnson's gone, we didn't have that amazing year that we had in 2023. Premiership's not there anymore. We got to look at a top 8 and build for the future. And I think, when we have, Tannah Boyd, Tamato Martin, Jet Cleary in the future, whatever happens, we're moving to a top 8, not a top 4 sort of finish. We don't have that sort of halves depth right now.
Yeah, like no one's screaming in the halves to me like, this is the lead guy. Like, they all have their flaws. They all have their weaknesses. They have stuff to prove as well. Like, dead set.
Yeah.
I know
Exactly.
Metcalf has got it. He's got a full year to prove to me that he can be that guy. And, I think he will be. We need to see it play out. Like you said, let's see Tannah Boyd in the jersey first. Let's see how it looks. And then we'll make our assessment there. But I've always said,
who
Webby.
knows, bro?
I go, yep.
Yeah, who knows, bro? Like, he's only had a small he's had a preseason with us, right? But who knows? He could come out in a preseason, learn a little bit. His ball playing with the Warriors could be a lot better, right? And maybe it was the environment of the Titans when we're, going off of, maybe he goes to the Warriors and his ball playing isn't as bad as what we've seen in the past, or, his actual like game, like his actual game in general takes an uptick, and he is the guy that leads us to the future. But we just need to see it first, and that's the thing is, like, right now with everything I've seen, the statistics I've seen, I prefer Tamato Martin, Luke Metcalf, and if they prove me wrong, I'm happy. I'm a Warriors fan. I'm going to ride them all the way to the end. So that's just the way it's going to be.
Yep, and I've always said, and Josh, I'm not I think Metcalf is the guy. I've said he is the guy.
Oh yeah,
I think he
100%.
should be the guy. All I'm saying is health-wise, I just need to see a full season of it. That's all I'm saying. But for me, it's all about, like I said, this is the one thing for me. Once you settle who that combo is, let them have the whole season pretty much, barring injury or it just blows up, which again would kind of be an alarm bell for me because, but I just want to see whoever that combo is, given the time to develop. And like I said, it's whoever balances each other out well. You've talked about that shape, the style between Metcalf and Tamaite. Like, yeah, we haven't seen it. We haven't seen it for 2 years at an NRL level. So let's give it a shot to at least see it at an NRL level. Or we'll find out. But I'm excited either way. And look, again, this is a great comment. I think it was Mitzi Mackey up above. I missed it. We're definitely not in a phase that this is a great point here. We don't have high level halves yet, unfortunately. So we need to simplify our game or I think that's exactly it. It's creating a game plan that works for these guys. Like Sean, you could probably come up with 4 or 5 game plans, and he could probably do 4 or 5 of them pretty well.
A healthy
these guys,
Sean.
Healthy Sean. So these guys maybe come up with 2 or 3 game plans, and they, and so those are the levels we're talking about. And I agree with you. We're in a kind of a top 8 position. Let's focus on that, but let's definitely pick these guys early and let them settle in. Is my thoughts.